You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Keys to the City. I'm your host, Trevor Keys, alongside Ted behind all the blurriness. Unbelievable. You gotta love this. It was just perfect. It was literally ideal. And now all of a sudden, it's like, I don't understand this shit. I don't understand it. But we are Keys to the City. You can check us out on all social media platforms at Keys to the City. So like, subscribe, follow, or comment. Ted. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I know people are upset still because the New York Giants now have a 3-game winning streak. A wild night of Monday Night Football, if you really think about it. I know the Giants won, but also, does anybody want to win the AFC? We're going to talk about that in a little while.
You have a 5-game win streak.
I mean, does anybody want to win the AFC? I know that there was big news last week in the MLB, but that's for a different time when we will get DeJose McGuire to discuss the deals of Juan Soto to the New York Yankees and Shohei Ohtani's $700 million contract. Wow. But still only going to get paid $2 million for the next 10 years. You just can't believe it. You can't believe it. I don't get it. I don't get it how these guys get $700 million.
Well, it's a smart deal for him.
Oh, of course, but how the hell do you get
with any team?
That's ridiculous. That's redonkulous, I should say.
And a guy like him who's already going to get $40 million endorsements a year, it makes sense. It's like a Gronk thing. Why touch your contract when you can make the endorsements deal if you're smart enough to live off your endorsements? And I believe they were just talking about before, in California, after a certain period of time, there's a tax like credit where like you defer your money, you won't get hit as much as you would if he was getting made $70 million this year. So,
well, good for Shohei. He got his big contract. It was the worst kept secret in baseball. We knew the Dodgers were going to be one of the favorites, and it happened last week. Speaking of endorsements and advertisements, they better start doing something with my boy, Tommy Cutlets, because he might have something going right now. But think about it. Let's think about this. The Giants a couple weeks ago, we were talking that they were in the running for the number 1 pick. Many people believe they were the worst team in the league, Ted. And now 3 weeks later, the New York Giants are on a 3-game winning streak and only a game back, believe it or not, of the NFC final wild card spot. Wow. Ted, when we think about this story, we think about how great it's been. Tommy Cutlets, you got the whole fans, you got the whole family there, you got your father, you got everybody going like this now. Everybody's buying into the hype. Everybody's buying into the movement, I guess, of Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito, I should say. You see his agent. He had Ted's suit on. Ted, he had your suit on, the agent. Your suit. The suit that we never want Ted to wear, but yet Ted has still, if he wanted to bring it out. That was Ted last night. He just had a bigger nose you have more facial hair, but not by much.
That's saying a lot.
What?
That I have more facial hair.
That's saying a lot, yeah, because if it was me, it's different. Me, I look gross right now, Ted. I look gross. I need a haircut. I desperately need a haircut. I can't wait to get one. But, Ted, we think about this whole run right now that the Giants are on, and we think about this run that Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito has been on. It only can make me think, Ted, do you think this is legit, this story, or what he's doing? Or is this just another New York story that had the crowd of New York, the city, the state of New York in a buzz not too long ago in another sport, basketball? I think you know where I'm going with this. Is this another, and I don't even want to say this because this kid has delivered. I think last night really proved to me that, hey, this kid could be something. This kid could be something. Like anytime you have a situation where, I get it, he beat the Commanders and he beat the Patriots, 2 of the worst teams in football this year, but he plays a team in the Packers last night that's been on a roll. They've been on a roll, and people had a feeling that, hey, maybe this Packers team's starting to get into a groove of things. And you think about it, they go down, they score 22-21. You know the story. Anytime you have to face a situation like that for any quarterback, I don't care who you are, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, and now Tommy DeVito had to deal with it last night. Anytime you're dealing with a 2-minute situation, that's a lot of pressure against a team that's been playing well, and Tommy DeVito did something that Daniel Jones hasn't been able to do, and he hasn't looked I mean, you think about Daniel Jones' career and what Tommy DeVito's done in 3 weeks. He just looks more comfortable all around. But is this just another? I hate to even put in the same sentence because I love what he's doing, and he's an Italian guy. He's a Jersey kid. But is this like another LinSanity run where the state of New York is buzzing, everybody's behind it, the Giants are winning games now, and all of a sudden, once a team that wasn't projected to be maybe the number 1 pick, and then the running for a quarterback is now at pick 10 or something, and looking like they could just add players and maybe be like, hey, they're eight. Okay. So think about it. Is this just another? Is this legit, or is this another quick little happy flash in the pan for us New York fans? Because there hasn't been much to celebrate.
Well, I mean, I guess you can tell we're brothers in this think alike because I couldn't think of the name, but that's exactly when you were starting to ask a question before you referenced it. That's exactly where I was going to go.
I thought of it last night.
I think of this as, and I didn't think about it. I just thought about it just now as you were speaking about it. I think this is a perfect LinSanity thing. I think it's a flash in the pants, but I think it's a great thing for the Giants.
Flash in the pants? Did you say
flash
pants?
In the pants. Yeah,
no, it's a flash in the pan, Ted.
Flash in the pants.
Ted said flash in the pants.
Hey,
whoa, Ted. Easy, cowboy.
Hey, got to get excited once in a while, and that's what Tommy DeVito's doing for the New York fans, flashing in the pants, bro, getting everyone excited. It's a great story. I think what this proves is he's a viable quarterback for the NFL. Is he a permanent starter? Probably not. More likely not. No. But what he proves is he can play in this league, right? And it makes us as fans right now enjoy the moment of watching the New York Giants, right? I mean, we were at one point or another like, I got to watch 6-7 more weeks of this, like, just terrible. But now it's fun to watch. Like, it's kind of, remember the movie Whoopi Goldberg where she's the coach for the New York Knicks? Eddie, right? And like they're all making fun. It's a joke, and they start one is like, these guys ain't too effing bad. They're actually kind of excited. So you could tell the excitement's in the crowd. You could see it last night. I told Paul, I was like, damn, I wish we went to that game last night. Not that the New England game wasn't great, but last night's game was great. Not knowing how the game was going to end, but great game. What it does is 2 things. One, it proves that the Giants have a backup quarterback at least for next year. They have a viable backup quarterback, and if we've seen anything in this league this year, it's very important to have a good backup. We've seen multiple quarterbacks this year go down, be out for multiple weeks, or be out for the season, as we just saw today and heard on the news. Justin Herbert is now out for the season. Mm-hmm. What it also does is helps Daniel Jones out because it proves that he doesn't have to worry about losing his starting job to a top 2 pick next year. Because we were at the rate where, like you said before when you started the conversation, is where the Giants could be a top 1, 2, or 3 pick in this draft class coming up. Right now they're 8, and I don't see them finishing any lower than 4 or 5.
Well, they still got to play the Saints, and they got to play Eagles twice, and then the Rams. All tough games. All teams that are vying for playoff spots position.
I think Tommy DeVito is good. Last night I saw a confidence in him, something that I think is progressing. You could see it. His athleticism. He can run the ball. He throws the ball with.
He has a nice little zip. He has some nice zip on it.
Good zip.
Yep.
He's.
But that's the thing, Ted. Why is he able to understand this in 4 games that he started? But Daniel Jones can't get it figured out in 5 years.
Because I think he's playing like Zach Wilson. Who gives a shit, bro? Like, I'm playing with house money. Like, no one.
Are we talking about DeVito? Or are we talking about Daniel Jones?
Tommy DeVito, yeah, bro. Like, you don't.
But why
care,
is Daniel
bro.
Jones? Why is Daniel Jones not?
Too much pressure. Too much pressure. Being the guy, the money, everything else. He's not playing like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose my job. Look how good Zach Wilson. I told you. Look how good Zach Wilson. Like, if Zach Wilson could give this team half of that all the time, he would be a good number 2 pick. What he proved this week, and I was like, wow, that's why we chose him. Like, Zach Wilson was one of the best quarterbacks in the league this week, performance-wise, in awful weather. And don't tell me he played against a bad defense because the Texans' defense has been really good this year. So what it showed to me last night was a confidence. Listen, they still can't run the ball that great. I can't believe we had to go through that last night with Saquon fumbling with no one touching.
I was like, oh my god! I was like, typical. I was like, this is just like the typical Giants.
Eli Manning slide at Philly. Remember Sunday Night Football slides and fumbles.
Daniel Jones the game wide open, just a bunch of green grass, and he tripped over himself. Evan Ingram. I mean, it's happened countless amount of times to the Giants.
Listen, it's a great story, bro. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It was fun watching him. He looks good. The offense still has. Let's face it. We have one good offensive lineman. We don't really have we don't have any stellar receivers. We have a bunch of guys that can play the game of football.
I think Wandale Robinson, if he stays healthy, could be a very,
He's not
very
a
nice.
stud. So I'm
not saying he's like a number one. I'm saying he can be a legit.
He's viable.
A number two. He could be a great slot receiver. And you know how valuable slot receivers are, man.
It could be a nice piece like a Hunter Renfrow that can get you catches.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
What's wrong with having a guy like Wes Welker or something like that? It worked for him.
You got Jalen Hyatt, who's supposed to have this, who has the speed. Like to see him focus on the ball and catch every ball that's thrown to him when it hits him in the hands.
Yeah.
They need a tight end. We know that. They need more offensive linemen. Listen, they're a work in progress. To think that they should have beat the Jets in Buffalo, listen, I always go back to that because they could have 7-8 wins.
They'd be 7-6 right now,
which is remarkable. They'd be in the playoffs. Easily be in the. They're 6 or 7.
Yeah, they'd be the. I think they'd be the 6th seed.
Well, Minnesota is 7-6. Green Bay is still in the playoffs at 6-7. I think they're the 7th. So they would definitely be in the playoffs. Listen, it's a great story, man. Do I think he's their starting quarterback next season? No, but I think the Giants can move on from Tyrod next year. They got a viable backup quarterback. Worst case scenario, if Daniel Jones can't cut it, they could still draft a guy if they really choose to, even though I don't think they will, but it's definitely an option. I think the Giants, depending on how he plays out the next 3 to 4 weeks, my idea would be like, hey, give him at least a chance for the starting position next year, even though money talks and we know that's how it works, where it's like, hey, I'm paying one guy $40 million and one guy $500,000. But guess what? If every team followed that, Brock Purdy wouldn't be the quarterback for San Francisco.
I'm just saying, Brock Purdy's doing it. I mean, I get it. He's got the weapons galore over in San Fran, but I mean, here's his numbers so far. Here's what Tommy DeVito's done.
The Giants are fun to watch right now. I mean,
so this is what DeVito's done his last 3 weeks. So he's got 5 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah, he didn't get sacked last night either.
Washington, he was 18 of 26, 246, 69.2 completion percentage. Not a bad day. New England, 17 of 25, 191. You were at that game. Wasn't much excitement. Last night, this is where I like to see. 17 of 21, 81 completion percentage, 158 yards, a touchdown. Also ran the ball. I think it had like 70
yards.
Yeah, it's 70 yards rushing. He was the leading rusher for the Giants, I think, or was it Saquon?
Yeah, over 100 yards passing.
This is a guy that, look, undrafted guy, out of Jersey, played at Syracuse, played in Illinois, came from Don Bosco. I mean, the hometown guy, hometown kid, living out the dream, playing the New York Giants. I get it. It's all fun and games. Like, he's living with his mom. He's doing all whatever, saving money. But, you think about it. Last night, that last-minute drive, man, against a Green Bay Packer team, like I said, that was starting to get going offensively. And just as overall a team, they started to find their identity. I know they had a few pieces out. Jai Alexander was out, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones. So let's just say some big pieces for that team overall. That was out last night. But Tommy DeVito, making that throw to Wandale Robinson, that one specific throw, it was just a beauty of a throw. In stride, Wandale catches a huge first down, sets up the Giants for a field goal. I really thought Randy Bullock, or Reggie, whatever the hell his name is. Randy Bullock was going to miss again. I was like, I never liked him, never thought he was a great, great kicker, but hey, he got the job done. But just to see this kid living out his dream, playing and delivering for the Giants. They're in a 3-game winning streak, and I get it. It's against Washington. Washington's not a good football team. The Patriots, they're in the running for the number 1 pick. But then last night, and I get it with the injuries that they dealt with, but you beat a team that was, I still believe, is I think the 7th seed or maybe
they're in the 7th seed in the playoffs.
They're still the 7th seed right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know because I know the Rams are 6-7 too. There's other teams that are 6-7 that are still in the running. The Seahawks, but that's something. I get it. If he lost last night and still had that opportunity, and they ended up losing the game, okay. But the way that he came down. No pressure, no pressure. The guy's just doing his thing, playing football, and he delivered for them. And to see that, I get it. LinSanity was the same thing. He delivered for the Knicks at the time, winning games, going one-on-one with Kobe, having a better game. I remember the Garden was rocking. People in the NBA were loving it.
Trev?
But maybe the Giants and DeVito is something. Maybe there is something more because Brian Daboll. I mean, with what he has to work with a depleted offensive line, with receivers that are a bunch of 2 and 3s, 4s, and Tommy DeVito given the chance, and he delivered for him.
Well, now
And that's all you can ask for a guy.
Well, this game this week now makes even more importance because now you're playing
Hell
the Saints.
yeah.
And the Saints are right above you in the playoffs. I was just looking at the standings right now.
The whole NFC South outside of the Panthers is above the Giants because they're all 6-7. There's like 6 teams that are 6-7 right now.
So there's Tampa Bay 6-7.
Who's to say the Giants can't win with the way that their defense has been playing also? Like their defense is playing well.
And then you got the Rams, which you play. So you're at the Saints, you're at the Eagles. All right.
Yeah. And then you got to play the Rams, and then the Eagles.
Then you got to play the Rams at home, and then you're home against the Eagles.
And the Eagles are probably going to be at full strength too because of the fact that they're fighting for.
And the Eagles are going to have to play both games. Like the importance of them.
Every game from all these games, the Giants are playing the Saints. They're fighting for a division title.
The Giants are playing playoff type games the next 4 weeks. And
but here's the thing. So is all the other teams playing too.
No. What I'm saying is though, where we were having this conversation 3-4 weeks ago when we were barely doing the show, and you're like, "What the hell do you want to talk about?" I'm like, "I don't really know. I mean, we're just gonna keep beating down the Giants and say the same shit that everyone else says that they stink.
Yeah.
We know they stink. We're gonna repeat the same thing to everyone else. Now it's like, okay, we got something to talk about. Like it's exciting. You know, it's something where like you.
Who's to say they can't beat the Saints?
And here's the thing: can the Giants? The realistic question is: can the Giants realistically ride this momentum, this storyline, to a playoff berth? Can they? Because you definitely tell. You look at the locker room. You definitely tell there's an excitement. They're feeding behind this, kind of like you were saying with LinSanity, where the team. I think the Knicks got hot.
Oh yeah, they did.
They ended up making the playoffs or something, and they didn't do much. But still, that team wasn't that good. But they got to the playoffs and made it exciting for the team and the fans.
They fed off of.
I mean, you look at this weekend. You look at this weekend. The Jets won Sunday. The Giants won Monday. Doesn't happen often, but they both won this weekend. Both quarterbacks look really good in their performances. Though I wanted to go back for a second before we change subject, is depending on where the next 4 games go, I feel like I've seen better play and more confidence in Tommy DeVito
than Daniel Jones in 5 years.
Daniel Jones in 4 or 5
But that's what I said. That's what I said earlier in the show.
Like his run last night, I thought he scored.
I wish he did.
And he ran.
But Ted, that's what I was saying early in the show too.
Daniel Jones doesn't run with it runs
but like that's what I'm trying to say. How come Tommy DeVito, and maybe you answered it, how come Tommy DeVito in 4 effing games plays the way he's been playing, but Daniel Jones in 5 years still can't figure his shit out?
The only time I think I seen Daniel Jones play that well
was last year.
Twice
last year. That was it. That was it.
Maybe the game when I went to his first ever start against Tampa Bay, where he played pretty well. But considering a guy who was drafted 6th overall, with the
considering a guy that's getting paid $40 million a year,
who cares the money? Really, at this point, who gives a shit about?
But now looking at what he's become,
it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's just perform, and he has not performed. And
I mean, I'm thrilled that the Giants are winning. I know that people are.
Daniel Jones should be sending Tommy DeVito a big Christmas gift and say, "Thank you for saving my job."
I know that people are upset about the Giants winning.
Thing. If they lose the last couple weeks, with the Bears winning and playing much better lately, the Patriots won this week, and the Jets are winning. Yeah. The Giants easily could have had they're not going to get the number 1 pick because Carolina is just absolutely atrocious. But they could have had.
They really are the worst team.
But I mean, what's the standings? So Carolina's 1-12. Arizona has 3 wins. The Giants have 5. So realistically, the Giants easily, and New England has 3 wins.
But don't forget, they still have.
The Giants would easily be the number 2 pick because they would have lost to New England, they would have lost to the Commanders, they would have lost to the Jets, and then last night's loss. The Giants easily would be the number 2 pick with 3 wins, 2 or 3 wins, and we'd be like, all right, we're getting Drake May, and we're like, go ahead.
Who's to say that the Giants still don't make a move up to go get a quarterback?
I don't think they have the assets, and I don't think.
Oh, they got 2 second-round picks now that are becoming very valuable.
Well, here's the thing: doesn't give a shit. Don't matter. The Giants are
a second-round pick. Trust me, people love draft picks.
Here's the thing: so the Giants team's going to run up to go get a quarterback when they have so many other holes. I get it. Here's the thing: go look at what Carolina did from 9-1 last year. That's what the Giants would have to go up to at least 2, and you'd have to go up to either New England, Arizona, and is New England really going to go back?
No, they're taking
New England going to go back to 9 when they have an opportunity to get Drake May, a quarterback for the future. No.
All I'm saying is, as a
Even if you
Giant,
give them Daniel Jones, and who's the receiver that they're going to get? Like, you know, like last year they gave up what? 2 first-round picks. What was it? 4 total picks in DJ Moore, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably should have it written down in
I
front
mean,
of me. But
as a Giant fan, I'm happy. I'm happy that Tommy DeVito is delivering. It's a beautiful thing to see. I always like to see the Giants win. I get it. The Giants haven't played well this year for majority of it, and I understand. And people are frustrated about it.
Fun,
But
who the hell wants the Giants lose at this point?
I don't want to keep. I mean, with the way that the past 10 years has gone for this franchise, I know that they made the playoffs last year and they made it in 2016. But for majority of that past, since their Super Bowl season, the past 11 years, they've been god awful. And for them to win and stay competitive and play the way they've played the past 3 weeks, I don't care what their schedule is. Their schedule. I don't care if they had to play the Commanders and the Patriots. Their schedule is their schedule. They beat a solid team last night in Green Bay that's been playing, improving each and every week, Jordan Love included in the team, and they won a big game on Monday night. And their season is still has some sort of hope, I should say. Sort of hope, and Tommy DeVito has been a big part, and the team, and everybody's feeding off of it. That's the thing. Everybody is feeding off of it, and that's a great thing. And as a Giant fan, I couldn't be any happier.
Go into the playoffs, Dallas be the 2 seed, and go beat Dallas in the wild card round. 7-2, Tommy DeVito. There you go. There's my storyline. Beat Dallas.
Screw them. I'd love him. I would love it more than anything.
Right now they're playing, other than the 49ers, and the 49ers are healthy. There's no better team right now in football than the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm so glad you brought up the NFC, Ted, because I think the NFC, we've been talking about it for a majority of this season. The NFC, hold on. You got to wait for me. The NFC right now looks like, because Philly's getting the past 2 weeks, Philly looks a whole different team right now, especially with what's been going on. Their defense has problems. Their offense can't move the ball. Jalen Hurts doesn't look like Jalen Hurts of last year. That's what happens when everything is perfect and it's not anymore. You start to see things. I get it. He's been dealing with injuries.
But you lose 2 coordinators too.
I get it. But hey, when you're that good, like everybody thinks Jalen Hurts
Josh Allen didn't look that good when you lost Brian Dable.
He still threw for 40. Okay, so he had more turnovers. Jalen Hurts, you know how many turnovers he has this year? He's 15 plus. What the hell is that? But we don't talk about it.
Because he's not running the ball. He's not running the ball.
I'm not even talking about the NFC. What I was trying to do is how Ted brought this in. Other than the Cowboys and the 49ers, they look good. And it looks like right now it could be a 2-team race unless Philly figures the shit out. Because right now, if I had to pick, the NFC is clearly looking like a 2-team race. Until Philly, like I just said, repeat myself, gets it going, gets to what it's been going for the past couple of years.
Well, their schedule
but then you look at what the AFC is currently on display. And last night could be the perfect example of why this AFC, I can't tell you who's going to be playing on Super Bowl Sunday in the AFC. I don't know who's going to be the AFC champions. As of right now, December 12th of 2023, you can't tell me right now that, hey, that's the team that's going to represent the AFC. Because if I go through the main teams there's
11 teams in the AFC right now that are realistically in the playoff race.
I'm not talking.
Hold on. The other 4 are out. The Chargers are now eliminated. They're the 12th seed. The 13th. Hold on. The Raiders are eliminated. The Jets, the Titans, the Patriots. So that means the Bills score the 11th. Bengals score the 10th. Broncos there 9, Texans 8.
I'm not talking about that. What I'm trying to say
is all those teams have all realistic chance of going to the Super Bowl.
Playoffs. But what I'm trying to say is
the Super Bowl.
No, they don't. What I'm trying to say is
really the Bills don't have a chance to make the
Bills
Super
Bowl? Are the only team out of all those teams.
I think if Stroud comes back and depending on what happens, the Texans could win 1 or 2.
The Texans just got their asses kicked last week with Stroud as quarterback.
Okay, but guess what? We know the playoffs are different. The Titans just went down to Miami for less than 4 minutes and 30 seconds. We just watched the Chiefs lose multiple games.
But that's what I'm trying to say is
the Ravens should have lost to the Rams this weekend.
But that's what I'm trying to say is that when you look at this AFC picture right now,
the Broncos always give the Chiefs a run.
It's been great. The AFC has been excellent this year and it's been pandemonium. It's been bedlam. It can say anything you want because each and every week, I know Baltimore's 10-3 right now, but Baltimore
Joe Flacco looks like the 2011 quarterback.
Baltimore has their moment. Baltimore has their inconsistent moments. They should, like Ted said, they should have probably lost against the Rams but guess what? They found a way to win. Good for them. The Dolphins, ugly loss last night. The Chiefs, I mean, if Kadarius Toney could just figure out the line of scrimmage, the Chiefs right now would be 9, and we're not talking about that.
Tyreek Hill got hurt last night.
Tyreek Hill got hurt. And then you got the teams like the Bills, the Jacksonville Jaguars, like a team that people talk, oh, could be the year. The AFC is just so inconsistent that you can't sit here today and say that that's the team that's going to be playing. I mean, yeah, you're going to have two teams playing in the AFC Championship. You don't know who's going to be the 1 seed as of right now. Because Baltimore, yes, they're the number 1 seed, but Baltimore still has to play the Dolphins. Then they got to play the 49ers. Then you guys still play the freaking Steelers. I forgot who they play this week, but they have another extremely tough game too. They got the hardest schedule remaining.
Trev, they got the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Oh no, that's the Eagles. That's the Eagles.
Have the Seahawks.
I will tell you right now. I got it right.
They have They have the hardest schedule moving forward. So who's to say they don't win?
If I may interrupt, they're at the Jaguars Sunday Night Football.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Then they're at the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Oh no, that's Christmas Day. Yes, Christmas Day. Monday Night Football. Then they're home against the Dolphins on New Year's Eve, and then home against the Steelers. So the next 2 weeks.
And that's what I'm trying to say is that
all 4 teams are the playoff teams.
There's always like right now the NFC. You're like, okay, the Niners and the Cowboys look like legit Super Bowl teams that could be representing the NFC. Eagles, I'll still put them in there because of the fact that they have the experience, they got the talent, and if they just figure it out defensively, they'll get it going because they have it all to just do what they have to do, and that's getting back to a Super Bowl. The AFC, though, you got pros, and then you got a lot of cons. You got the pros in the Baltimore offense, Lamar, they can score well, defense, but then you look like the next week, it's inconsistency. You just don't know what Baltimore's going to show up. Miami, they have the 4x100 relay team.
Yeah, when Tyreek Hill gets over 100 yards,
Tua you don't trust. Their defense has been playing a lot better since
Tyreek Hill gets over 100 yards. Receiver,
and then
they were undefeated. They were undefeated at home. They should have been last night. Only other team to be home was Dallas undefeated.
And then, I'm also trying to just finish up with
the Bills.
I'm trying to finish up with this. The division, the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Mahomes, Andy Reid, all that.
Yeah, but you don't even. You're talking about the division leaders, but you said it to me.
I'm not talking. I'm talking about the teams.
I'm
talking about the realistic candidates to make the Super Bowl. Yes, Denver's been great. I get it. They're 7-6. All of a sudden, they're 1 game back in the AFC West. I still don't believe in them enough to put them in that category of that's a team that can play in the AFC. Yeah, they're in the team that's going to make possibly the playoffs, but they're in that same group, like with the Bengals. Like, I'm going to put the Bills out of all those 7-6 teams. I'll put the Bills over them because the Bills can do what they just did to anybody like they did on Sunday. They should have beat the Eagles last week. They beat the Chiefs. I mean, but they also lose to the Broncos, lose to the Giants, lose to the Jets in week 1. I get it. Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, but I know.
They beat the Giants. But they should have lost to the Giants. It's like, that's what I'm trying to say is that the Bills out of all those 7-6 teams are the one team that I can be like, yes, that's the team that I will put my money on out of that group. But then you look at the rest of them. The Dolphins, I've been telling you. It's a reason why I've been telling you that the Dolphins are just the Dolphins. Talented, speed, but their execution and their late game management is why I'll never be able to say I can fully trust them in winning a Super Bowl. Okay, so that's just the truth. The Chiefs don't have a number 1 receiver. Kelsey's when Kelsey's getting guarded, double teamed, they need to go to another guy. Now, Rashee Rice has been delivering for them, but they don't have anybody else. Okay, and Patrick Mahomes can't work all his magic now. So that's all I'm trying to say is that the AFC is like, if you had to pick, you can't just say confidently, yes, that's who I'm going to pick. You just can't.
The nice thing you see this week is the 3 Saturday games coming up. All three games are playoff games. Minnesota and Cincinnati, both playoff teams. Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, that's a playoff game right there. Both teams are at the 5-6 mark. And then Denver and Detroit, both playoff games. So all 3 games Saturday have implications toward the playoffs. And then I was just looking at the schedule while you were kind of bebopping around. Sunday, you got your regular 1 o'clock games. Nothing's really exciting in the 1 o'clock window. Really nothing. I mean, I'm just looking at it right. Tampa Bay, Green Bay. It's a playoff matchup, but we'll see what happens. Kansas City, New England, whatever. But the 4 o'clock window, it's one game. It's Dallas at Buffalo. That's the 4:25. San Francisco plays Arizona. Washington, Rams. Then the late game, Baltimore, Jacksonville. But you're talking the next couple of weeks. All these matchups are going to play out. We've talked about this. The Bengals play the Chiefs play Miami, and they got Jacksonville this week. And then Buffalo's still got to play Miami and Dallas.
Buffalo plays Dallas this week.
Yes, I just
Huge
told you,
game.
425.
Huge game. Yeah,
that's huge game. At Buffalo. Buffalo's home. Dallas goes up to
I'm
Buffalo.
telling you, Buffalo's going to win this game.
You got Seattle and Philly, Baltimore
Chiefs.
and Jacksonville. That's the Saturday games are all playoff games. Let's see, and I'm just going to scroll one more. That's week. Can't believe we're in week 15, but then next week we got one Thursday matchup, Saints Rams. Saturday there's only two matchups. Yeah, Cincinnati Pittsburgh at 4:30, and then 8:00 Buffalo at the Chargers, which that should have been a good game, but not anymore because Herbert's out for the year. Yo, do you know on Christmas Day there's three games?
Is there?
At 1:00 is Raiders at the Chiefs at 1:00. 4:30 on Christmas Day, Giants at Philly. 8:15 Baltimore at San Francisco. Guess I know what I'm doing on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I'll be working and watching football.
Dallas plays at Miami at 4:25 this Sunday. Jacksonville, Tampa, Green Bay, Carolina. I'm just looking to see.
But all these games overall, there's so much implication still left.
Because
we're in week.
Tight.
Yes, we're going into week 15, but these next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I should say, there is so much to unravel because we still do not know. I get it. San Fran has been kicking the shit out of everybody. Dallas has been kicking the shit out of everybody. But we don't know who's going to be the 1 seed. Right now, it's San Fran because of the head-to-heads over Dallas and San Fran. And then the AFC, everything is going to play out. But if I could tell you right now, on December 12th of 2023, I can't tell you that, that's the team that's going to be the number 1 seed. And then I definitely can't tell you that's the team that's going to represent the AFC.
Who's going to make the playoffs?
That's what I've been saying to you, though.
Miami doesn't make the playoffs.
This is the year that I truly believe a wild card team could be the team, and I'm sticking with. I know I picked the Bengals in the beginning of the year, but the Bengals losing Joe Burrow changes everything. I'm telling you, Buffalo. I know it's out, and I keep telling Buffalo each and every week, and you think you almost think I'm a Buffalo. You almost think I'm not. No, but I've been saying it.
I had Buffalo 49ers in the Super Bowl.
I get it. I had them too.
You really don't know who's going to make the playoffs right now, and you don't know any of the seeds.
You have a good feeling of who's going to make the playoffs. It's just what the seeding is going. You don't. No, it's just the seeding.
Miami could. There's a chance that Miami could make the playoffs. Go look at their schedule.
They'll probably win one.
They'll probably, but there's a chance. I mean, you don't know. Buffalo's hot. Win one game. They look good against Eagles. Okay, one game. They get beat by Dallas, and then they lose to Miami. Then they're not in the playoffs. In Cincinnati, and then Pittsburgh. How good is really Pittsburgh? They stink. And then Cincinnati with Browning, and then Denver with Russell Wilson, and then you got Trevor Lawrence still dealing with a high ankle injury, and they're kind of inconsistent. And then Stroud's dealing with a concussion protocol, so you don't really know what about that. But hold on. Then you got Gardner Minshew in there, and we know that, Trev. We don't trust him.
So you're top heavy. The top heavy team.
I think the only two teams that you can guarantee that are be in the playoffs and going to be in the title game or close to is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens and Lamar. That would be my two only asterisks where I'd be like, those two teams are guaranteed. The other teams I don't guarantee. I don't guarantee Miami wins the division. I don't guarantee they make the playoffs. I don't know what happens with the AFC South. There's 3 teams all viable, and then we know. Really, it's just Denver in the West now because Herbert's out. They're god awful. That's a firing.
Why is Brandon Staley still a coach right now?
Because not going to fire him now. There's no point in it right now. Let's finish out.
Fire his ass. He should have been fired 3 years ago.
Well, that means he wouldn't have a job.
He's an awful coach. He's a buffoon.
Well, he got the job because he was a hot defensive coordinator off of Sean McVay.
That's great.
No different than when Bill Belichick
and his defense.
Kyle Shanahan's guys got taken away.
But he's an idiot. That's a difference. He's an idiot. His coaching decisions in the past have been. His coaching decisions have been pretty bonehead, if you ask me. That's all I'll say.
I just think they need to regroup their entire team. Shed them. Joey Bosa, time to cut his ass.
Trade Justin Herbert for the number 1 pick.
Who? The Giants?
Giants should just go get Justin Herbert.
Yeah, we wish. No one's trading. Here's the thing, and that's what I like about some of the conversations I hear on the other shows are. There's 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are guarantees in quarterback that you're just not trading. You're just not trading.
So who are the 4 or 5?
Lamar, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Trevor Lawrence.
Is that it?
Yeah, I guess so. The next group that I would be where the package would have to be substantial would be like a Dak, Herbert, Hurts.
I just wanted to see what you would
Stroud
say.
would be in that next group.
I think Stroud's better than all those quarterbacks.
And Stafford. Stafford would be in that next group.
I can't believe Stafford's still going.
And then everyone else is like, listen, we don't have the guy. We're trying to do everything we can to surround him, like the Seahawks, drafting, receiver and a defensive back, or like, listen, Brock Purdy's great. I get it. I love it. He's outstanding. But listen, when you can surround him with the
when everything around you is perfect,
I don't have a problem with that. That's what the Eagles do. That's what the Cowboys.
That's what I'm saying. When everything around you is perfect, everything goes.
When Mahomes was great, you had Tyreek and Kelsey and this and that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you want, bro. Like, I don't understand why people get so like, oh, Brock Purdy's got okay. Hurts has got that. Dallas
it's not his fault.
Dallas has been trying to bring in a number 2. They got Brandon Cooks and they got.
I think people get annoyed though with the fact.
Tua. Think about Tua. You brought in Jalen Waddle.
But here's the argument for when people get ticked off about guys like that, or when you say, "Oh, Purdy and Hurts," or like Dak, because you just got to look at this. You look at everything that's around them. Like, you got all those 3 teams, stout offensive lines, great weapons on the perimeter.
Those teams are all in the NFC.
Legit have great running backs in the backfield too. Stout defenses, playmakers, star talent all around the field. Everything works for you. When everything's working, it's like Alabama. I always like Hurts, guys like Hurts and Purdy. Like, I get it. They've been great. They've been excellent, outstanding quarterbacks, but they fit their system. They fit their team. I just am curious to know why people get ticked off nowadays, or to answer your question, why people bitch and moan about it, is because the fact they'd be like, oh, what would Brock Purdy or Jalen Hurts look like if he was playing on a Carolina Panthers team? Or what would Dak Prescott look like if he was playing on a New England Patriot team currently?
I mean, I put it this way.
That's why people get ticked off. Because everything, their environment is perfect.
Well, I would say look at Mahomes. Look how much more pedestrian Mahomes looks this year with no receivers.
But what happened last year?
Kelsey was healthier.
I get that, but still.
And with Juju and the guys, there was a better cohesiveness.
Come on.
Who's their number 1, bro?
You'd probably say Rashee Rice.
Ty Moore has never taken that next step.
You would say Rashee Rice, probably.
Juju's been there, so you've been there. There's other guys. I mean, think about it. We talked about Buffalo.
Rashee Rice is better than Juju right now.
You don't think whatchamacallit? You don't think Buffalo would love to have a number 2 to complement Stephon Diggs?
Well, they were hoping Gabe Davis would be that, but
he's not that. They don't have no running game. James Cook has been a nice piece, but that's what happens when you pay these big time quarterbacks. You can't have all these top prospects. That's why I was saying to one of my guys last night, the Dallas thing, now that I look at more and more, it has to be a must win this year. Like, there has to be a must win Super Bowl, because my question,
because they're going to extend
my question to like Adam Schefter and other guys who are much more smarter than us and involved in this is,
well, they're more money. They know the more money behind.
Well, here's the thing. Dak, if he wins right now, Dak's on the point to win MVP of the league and win the Super Bowl. If Dak wins the Super Bowl and MVP this year, like MVP of the league and wins the Super Bowl, he's going to crush the contract. He's going to crush whoever has the highest contract. He's going to crush it. That's just the way it's going to be. But then you know who else is crushing it this year and is a top 2-3 receiver this year? CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So CeeDee Lamb's going to want $25 to $30 million.
Oh, he's going to want more than $25 million.
Okay, and here's the other thing. What do you do about one of the best defensive players in the league?
Mm-hmm.
How long are you going to hold on to him or prolong his contract?
Yeah, they have two superstar talents that they still have to pay.
3.
Well, Dak is because I take Dak out of the picture because you know that they're going to pay him. It just comes down to, and you would assume they're going to pay CD and Micah. They're not going to let those 2 guys walk. But how much are you willing?
I just don't understand how they can do that with paying, like they paid up Zach Martin.
Well, how did the Rams do it? How did the Eagles do it? How did these teams figure it out financially?
The Rams didn't have as many as these guys have. Dallas.
They were signing.
Zach Martin's like the highest paid guard in the league.
They were signing left and right.
Tyron Smith, Stephon Diggs has got a huge contract.
Trayvon Diggs.
Oh, Trayvon Diggs. I apologize. Thank you. DeMarcus Lawrence, unless he's off the books, so like Zach Martin.
You know who they might also have to pay too?
Who's the kid? Trey Smith.
Do you know? Kansas
and then
City.
Tony Pollard's on a franchise.
Terrence Steele, you mean? You mean Terrence Steele?
Thank you.
What was I gonna? Do you know who they also might have to pay too?
They're not paying
Because
him.
he's had an outstanding year for them.
Jake Ferguson.
No, Deron Bland.
Oh, Jake Ferguson. Hey,
I mean,
Tony
Jake
Pollard-
Ferguson, you might have to, because he's been. I mean,
Tony
yeah.
Pollard's on a franchise tag.
So Dallas is going to be like in a
That's
in a bind because if they win the Super, it's almost like, I get it. If they won the Super Bowl, for me, it'd be the worst thing. But for them, if they won a Super Bowl, yeah, you'll win the Super Bowl, but it might take a bit. It might have a greater hit to your franchise with winning a Super Bowl because of the fact that we've been talking about Dak extension for a while now. Well, if Dak wins the MVP, that alone is going to get you an extension. If you win the Super Bowl on top of it,
$400 million.
Good luck.
$400 million.
And then what are you paying? And then Micah's going to be coming. I think CeeDee was drafted before Micah. So so are you going to pay CeeDee next year? And what are you going to pay him? Because of the years that he's been having, especially this year, he's been, other than Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown, he's been the best receiver in football. So what are you paying him? $25 million plus? Okay. And Micah, we know what he brings to the table for that defense and what he brings to the table as a whole in the NFL. What are you going to pay him? You pay him $30 million? So those are three guys right there. And that's not including, like you just said, Ted, Jake Ferguson. Are you moving on from Tony Pollard because his contract comes up this year?
Trev, CD has 96 catches for 1253. AJ Brown is 2. He has 90 for 1258, so 5 more yards.
Yeah, so they're both the same.
And then Tyreek Hill, we know what he does. Yards. He's got 97 for 1500 yards.
So then what do you do with those three guys on top of adding Jake Ferguson, who's had a nice year, Deron Blaine has had a Pro Bowl year? Like, what are you going to do with those guys? Are your offensive line? Like, what do you do with Tony Pollard? Are you giving him a deal? Are you going to let him walk and then you're not going to have no running backs? Like, Dallas, yeah, you might win a championship this year, and it's a real possibility they could, but what do you do after that? And kind of like Buffalo, too. Like, if Buffalo were to win the Super Bowl, what are they going to do?
I mean,
teams like that have to win. Like the Chiefs, I get it. The Chiefs it's not going their way this year, but it's kind of like the Patriots. They took a little break when, they won their 3 championships, then they had a long layoff of winning titles, and guess what? They eventually got back to it. That's what's going on with the Chiefs.
There's no doubt he has to.
And then, like, that's the thing with these teams, like the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Dolphins are going to be one of these teams, the Bengals, because what are you going to do with these contracts? These guys, your superstar talents on your team. Are you paying Tua long-term? Are you going to pay Jamar Chase long-term? Like, these are just some of the questions overall that these teams that are in this window. I want to say
a window of the
win now, but still the window is there. But you have to win. So what do you do if you're those teams, like I just said?
I don't know.
Like Buffalo, Dallas, Cincinnati, just Miami, just a few teams, because Miami's going to have to pay some of their guys too. Like, are you paying Jalen Waddle? You're going to pay Tua? How much are you paying Tua? These are all questions that are going to have to be asked and answered sooner than later.
Tua's overrated. I wrote it last night on Twitter.
I've been telling you this.
Yeah, I watched him last night. He's slow.
He's not that good of a quarterback. When everything was working, everything goes according to plan.
He's slow.
And when he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, that's why Tyreek Hill deserves more consideration for MVP than Tua does. And if they don't want to, or if you don't want to agree with that, just go look back at last night's game and what that team is without Tyreek Hill. If anything, he's more deserving of a case for MVP.
Yeah, I don't get it, man.
But that's what the thing. This season is just like the MVP race, because right now you don't know who's going to win it. You might have a few names. You might have Purdy. You might have Dak. I mean, Hurts has fallen. Lamar is still there. Tyreek Hill, we might actually see a receiver. Maybe maybe Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's all up for debate. All I'm saying is you got a month left of this season. And we all football fans, we might have we have a good feeling and a good understanding of who's going to be probably playing come playoff time. We just don't know how all the seeding is going to unravel for these conferences. Makes the fantasy playoffs, Justin Herbert. Yeah. How about winning and then some guy jumping you 3 spots and not getting in?
How about this? Tommy DeVito has 100 passer rating in each of the last 3 games. No quarterback in the NFL has a longer streak.
I love Tommy DeVito.
And then how about this? How about this? The Mets, whatever. I don't know how good this kid is or what. Ronnie Marcio, torn ACL, will require surgery. Got hurt last night in the league. He's a Mets player. I'm just reading Nolan Rich's and yeah.
Ted, I have to say something to you.
Hold on one second. Okay, so he's
Ted, we're doing something right now. Don't say hold on.
Highest graded defensive player this week. Myles Garrett was 92.0. Dexter Lawrence 91.9.
Stud, superstar.
Go ahead.
He's a boost. He's the man.
Hey, how about this? How about this? Daniel Jones on Monday Night Football or primetime 0-8. Tommy DeVito 1-0, baby. Whatever. Go ahead.
I don't understand it.
Whatever.
Okay, so 11 days from now, it's February 23rd or December 23rd. You know what December 23rd is, Ted?
It's a Saturday.
No, it's Festivus. So what I was going to say is to you, you're going to have to come up with, you know what Festivus is? It's the errands of grievance. So you're going to have to tell me a problem you have with sports right now.
I have a problem with you.
In the 11, yeah, you could tell me if you have a problem with me. In 11 days, we're going to air our grievances of the 2023 sports calendar year.
Maybe.
No, there's no maybe. We're going to.
I could not be around.
It might not be exactly on Festivus, but it will be the week of Festivus because, like we said, we'll be airing it. But you have to come up with something, just like me, and we'll have to come up with something that we have a problem with of the sports calendar year.
You want to make it fun?
Yeah.
Salary cap in baseball, eliminate 4 teams from each major sport. Eliminate 4 NFL teams, 4 baseball teams, 4 basketball teams, and 4 hockey teams, and take those 4 teams and make them. You'll have the league better because the talent-wise will be better.
Great. Well, you're still going to give me one of your
every year. You should just whoever finishes with the worst records, we'll just have to eliminate your team.
Wow, eliminate a whole franchise.
Bye. Like this year, Carolina. No one would care if Carolina's gone. Just take. No one even. How many players really from Carolina would even people take?
Brian Burns.
And
Shaq Thompson, if he was healthy.
Maybe Derek Brown.
J.C. Horn. Adam Thielen at the flex.
Gets hurt.
Jonathan Mingo has been playing well. He's starting to come on.
Yeah.
But in that, no. That could go down as the an all-time bad of a trade as of right now. Well, you're going to still have to figure something out because you have 11 days to figure it out. The errands of grievance. That's fine. The errands of grievance. Oh, by the way, congratulations to the North Haven Nighthawks as they are back-to-back champions. Who would have thought a baseball town would have back-to-back champions?
North Haven Indians.
The North Haven Indians. Exactly. I try to be nice.
Nope,
but I know I'm not the nicer of the two, so I guess I should be who I am, right? Cracking my knuckles as I speak.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Oh man, the Giants What'd you say?
Literally this week in fantasy, 157.04 to 116.04.
It's a 41-point game.
41-point lead.
At least you're in the playoffs, man. You're in the Final Four. I can't say anything. I'm out.
So now I got, let's see, Lamar going against Jacksonville. I like that matchup. McCaffrey versus Arizona. I like that matchup. Zeke versus KC. I don't know. Garrett versus Miami. I don't know. Rashid versus New England. I got to get rid of Brevin Jordan this week.
Yep.
Hopefully Dalton Schultz will be back.
I love how we're talking about your fantasy team right now live.
Calvin Ridley. I got Sunday night. Saints versus the Giants or Dallas versus Buffalo.
Decisions, man.
This is huge. Now, this is what's the key is. He's got Mahomes, Swift, Mostert. But he's going against the Jets, so I don't think he'll do much. Jets
Kelsey.
But he's got Debo going against Arizona. Hopefully Kelsey going against him. Brandon Cooks against Buffalo. Myers versus the Chargers. Dolphins versus the Jets. And Bucker versus New England. Oh,
it's going to be a battle, bro.
This is the big watch. He'll put up 157, and I'll put up 116.
Well, you'd probably still win.
No,
you'd be tied.
Difference. Can you imagine we're both 0.04 right now, and like he's like, I got it. Frank lost 146 to 85.
Yikes.
Hold on. What is my projection right now? My projection based on this week is 280. That's what my projection is.
So you projected 130 points, 120 points.
He's projected 230.
You're projected to lose?
No, he's projected 230. I'm projected 280.
Oh, so you're projected to win by 50. Okay. Well,
and then Mikey Gags is projected 264. Frank is projected 225. But he only scored 85 points this week. He lost 146 to 85.
We'll see what happens.
Oh my God. Me versus Mikey Gags. Time to take these little kids down. And Jack needs, if he's watching the show, Jack, it should not be $1,000 for first place in 3.
Oh, stop! That's separately. You don't talk on live about that. You do separately. Get out of here. We're not doing that. You do separately if you got your problems.
It should be 900.
Air your grievances and text if you want. Well, not in public. No, you don't do that. No, you don't do that. Have some respect. You know what the problem is? The lack of respect.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'll be like Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. It wasn't Josh Allen. It wasn't Jack's fault. I apologize.
Patrick Mahomes is Karen now.
You know what? Have fun in the rain this weekend. See ya. Bye.
Who, me? Is that what you're talking about? Wait, whoa.
I gotta go.
Hold on. I'm about to sign off. Ladies and gentlemen, because Ted's signing off because we got to fly because Ted's freaking out now with his affliction, his rampage shirt. That's an old. He hung up on me. The bastard hung up on me. Hey, Ted, you're back. He's back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're your keys to the city. We'll see you next episode. We are out.
You are now in tune to the Keys to the City podcast.